We're back. You're listening to the Fran Halloran Show. I am Fran Halloran. You're listening to us on Columbia's local talk radio experience, The Point, 95.9 FM, 1470 AM. Love to take your calls this morning if you are so inclined. 799-TALK, 799-8255. I wanted to comment on something before I get to the emails. Kevin, in the 7 o'clock hour, was discussing the stock market, and he mentioned me in conjunction with it. And let me just give you guys my pat bit of advice that I give every single one of my investment clients, every single one of them. It doesn't matter if they're investing $50 a month with us. It doesn't matter if they're investing, $2,500 a month in a wealth building mutual fund account. Here's what I tell them they can expect from the stock market, day in, day out, month in, month out, year in, year out. Are you ready? Because a lot of folks will charge you some serious coin for the information I'm about to give you, okay? And I'm serious. Now, I'm not kidding you one bit. They will charge you out the wazoo to get the good info that I'm about to give you. Are you ready? Okay, here it is. The stock market goes up. The stock market goes down. It goes back up sometimes, and then sometimes it goes back down. And sometimes it goes back up and back down again. And then it goes back up and back down. And you catching me, folks? It does this all the time. Stop worrying about the stock market. If you look at the stock market, over the history of the market, here's what it looks like. It looks like a mountain peak that keeps growing and growing and growing and growing and growing every 10 years. It's not going to stop growing, okay? It's not. Now, there are a few strategies that people need to employ. Like, for instance, when you're getting close to the time that you want to start using your nest egg, your retirement account, you probably don't want to be in as volatile a position as you were when you were in your 20s. So when you're 55 or 60 or a couple years, 62, 65, you might want to come out of the volatile stuff and get into something that's a little more safe, okay? You might even decide that you don't want to be in the market at all, although I don't necessarily recommend that. But I do have clients who don't want to be in the market, and then we take them out of the market and put them in something where they can never lose a dime. There are no fees. Their money is safe. They are off the roller coaster, so to speak. We got stuff just like that as well. So listen, folks, stop fretting. Don't look at your 401k every day. Don't worry about why a stock splits. That's a gimmick, by the way. Don't worry about all those things. Keep investing, keep investing, keep investing, keep investing. And when you're ready to retire, when you're close to retirement, within 3 to 5 years of retirement, make the decision for you about how volatile you want your accounts to be. And it's as simple as that. And anyone who tries to tell you anything more than that is just selling you a bunch of goods. Let me get to some emails this morning. Got some great ones over the past week. Got a few just since Tuesday. It's amazing when I fill in for Kevin occasionally. We end up with a whole new group of listeners, whether it's in the morning or in the afternoon. So I got a couple of great emails I want to share with you this morning. So, Coach Fran, I just lost my spouse. I am devastated. She had life insurance, and the life insurance company wants me to invest some of it with them. What would you do? I'd sit tight for 1 year. This is what I tell every single one of my clients when they lose a spouse. As many of you know, I have been very honest. I own an investment and an insurance business, as well as my wife owns IPG, Intentional Planning Group. So this is something I'm very familiar with. I tell all my clients, don't do anything for a year. Now, there's a caveat to that. If you have some debt, pay it off. If you want to pay off your home, pay off your home. But don't make any decisions about where you're going to put that money other than towards paying down debt or funding an emergency fund for 1 full year. And here's why. When you're emotional, when you've lost a spouse, you're not thinking straight. You're not thinking straight. And I'm going to be really, really honest with you. As I said, I own an insurance and an investment company. We're taught to try to keep that money in-house. So it's a strategy that every single investment and insurance company uses. Wouldn't you like us to reinvest that? And we're taught to do it early on. Sit tight for 1 year. I'm so sorry you lost your spouse. Sit tight for a year. Make sure you pay your bills. Make sure you have an emergency fund. Make sure your family's taken care of. But sit tight for 1 year. I promise you, things are going to be a lot clearer for you a year from now than they are right now, okay? And if you want help with it, if you want to talk with me about it, 792-1045, or send me an email at coachfran@makethepointradio.com. Coach Fran, we have some home repairs that need to be done. We cannot cash flow them, but my bank tells me I qualify for a HELOC, a home improvement line of credit. Is a HELOC an acceptable way to fund home improvements? Well, I'd rather you not, and I'll tell you why. Because although there are some tax advantages to borrowing money from a HELOC, it's really just more debt. And I really have a problem with people taking on more debt for home repairs. Now, and with that, let me mention this. There are home repairs and then there are home improvements. I would always tell someone, I would always coach someone to take care of home repairs immediately, as fast as they possibly can, because I don't want your house falling in on top of you. Your house should be a blessing, not a curse, and we're going to talk more about that in the third segment today. But if you have some repairs that are immediate, take care of those. I would encourage you to cash flow them. If you want to use a HELOC to put in new countertops or put in new tile, build a garage, build a playhouse, that's a whole different ballgame. That's not a need, that's a want. And I would never, ever encourage anyone to go into debt for a want. I would encourage you to save for the want. Now, I realize that a lot of folks don't follow this advice. I realize HELOCs are popular. I realize lots of people use them, but I would caution against that. I'd also caution against taking out money from your IRA or even a loan from your 401k, because those are popular ways for people to pay down debt and to make home repairs. But let me point something out here. If you take money out of your IRA, you're going to be penalized. You're going to have to pay the taxes, both state and federal. So here's my question to people, and this happened the other day on the show when I filled in for Kev. John called, and John had a great question. Should he borrow money from his, or take money out of his IRA? And my answer to John was this. Would you borrow money from a bank at 27 to 35%, John, to do these repairs on your home? And he immediately said, no. And I said, well, that's exactly what you're doing if you take money out of your IRA before you're 59 and a half. You're going to have to pay taxes on it, both federal and state, and there's going to be a 10% penalty. Well, then what about a loan from a 401k? Well, okay, I understand why people do that because I'm paying myself back. But when you take that money out of your 401k, if your 401k is making 10, 12, last year lots of 401ks made upwards of 20. If you take your money out of that 401k to do these repairs, yeah, you're paying yourself back at 4 or 5%. But you're missing out on all that growth. And if you should employ while that loan is still out there, you could have triggered a taxable event. So I do not advise people to take money out of their IRAs to do home repairs or home improvements. I do not advise people to take loans from 401ks. I advise people to save their money and cash flow as much as possible. Great question. Great question. Coach Fran, I had to tap into my $1,000 emergency fund to repair a hot water heater. Fortunately, the repair was only at $400, so it did not wipe the fund out completely. Do I now stop my debt, snowball my debt eradication, and refund my mini emergency fund? Yes, very simply. That's exactly what you do. Just stop your debt snowball, stop throwing extra money at your debt snowball, replenish your emergency fund, and you're going to be good to go. Great question, great question, great question. Coach Fran, I know I need to move my money out of my old 401k and into an IRA. How do I do this? And what should I put my money in? Well, you're going to move it from the 401k into an IRA. I do that. Lots of people do that kind of stuff. We do it every single day in our offices in Lexington. It's a really simple process. Now, the other question is, where should you put your money? Well, this goes back to what I was saying a few minutes ago about the stock market. I always advise people to get their money into good growth stock mutual funds in an IRA when they're moving money from their 401k. But there are other options available. Now, I'm not necessarily a fan of things like fixed annuities or even fixed indexed annuities. My company sells them, and we use them for some people sometimes, because I've got some people who have come to me with $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 from an old 401k, and they are deathly afraid of the market because they're 2, 3, 4 years away from retirement. In those situations, you might decide that going into the market is not for you, and you might want to look at something like a fixed indexed annuity. That's way better than an indexed annuity, a fixed annuity, but a fixed indexed annuity might be something you'd be interested in. If you want help with something like that, you want some coaching on something like that, we can certainly help you with that. Just give us a call or send us an email. It's as simple as that. But you got to move that money. Get it out of the control of your old employer and get it into an IRA because you want control. And then you've got to decide, am I getting into the market in mutual funds, or does that freak me out? Am I willing to trade off safety for return, higher rate of return? All right, we've come up against our second break. That's the end of our second segment. You're listening to the Fran Halloran Show. I am Fran Halloran. We'd love to hear from you this morning. 799-TALK, 799-8255. In the third segment, I'm going to share with you a little coaching session we did last week and how eye-opening it was.